One of the best quarterback matchups in all college football is at Neyland Stadium on Saturday. Here's why Joey Aguilar is greater than Taylen Green.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it, your Wednesday morning. Locked On Vols got a fun-filled show coming up here today, and I appreciate you guys for being here, making Locked On Vols a part of your morning routine, your first listen, your first watch each and every single morning. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every single day. We are going to break down the stats, even go beyond some of the normal box score stats, look at some Pro Football Focus stats for Joey Aguilar, Tennessee's quarterback, against Taylen Green, Arkansas's quarterback. Two of the best quarterbacks in the league for sure, going at it at Neyland Stadium coming up on Saturday. So we're going to deep dive down into those stats. Mailbag questions, I'll answer those in segment number 2, and then we'll talk with Josh Ward for Ward Wednesday coming up in segment number 3. All right, you just look at the normal box score stats for Taylen Green so far this year. It's been really, really good, right? So far this year, he's got 1,398 passing yards. That's 4th in the league. 12 touchdowns. That's like 3rd or 4th in the league. 5 interceptions. He has a QBR of 88.1. Joey Aguilar now, he is 1,459 passing yards. That's 2nd in the league, but again, he's got a bye week. 13 touchdowns, tied for 1st in the league. 5 interceptions. Actually, I think Ty Simpson has 14 now. All these, he's a game behind, essentially, in because he just had a bye week, at least to my understanding. 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 72.0. Taylen Green has been really, really good. Only his season low for passing yards so far this year has been against Notre Dame, where he threw for only 207 yards. No touchdowns, 1 interception. Just a really, really bad showing in the 56-13 loss. But outside of that one performance against Arkansas State, where I assume he probably didn't play the whole game, in the 56-14 blowout win, he threw for 239. He's thrown for over 300 yards in all the other games. 305 against Ole Miss, 322 against Alabama A&M, and 325 yards against Memphis. He got off to a hot start in non-conference play, obviously, against Alabama A&M, Arkansas State, where he threw for 6 touchdowns, respectively, and 4 touchdowns, respectively. In SEC games, he's thrown 1 touchdown. Now, he's only played 1 SEC game, so I guess that's a little bit misleading. But 1 touchdown, no picks. Against Memphis, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. And against Notre Dame, no touchdown and 1 pick. So you look at the individual game-by-game breakdown, better the competition, he's not been as good, but again, he's still been good, right? Throwing for over 300 yards in 2 of those 3 losses. He has been an animal on the ground. He ran for 151 yards against Arkansas State. He ran for 115 yards in a loss against Ole Miss. He ran for 81 yards in the loss to Notre Dame. He scored touchdowns against Arkansas State and Ole Miss. He has been a man-child on the ground running with the football in his hands, that being Taylen Green. Now, look at Joey Aguilar's stats. He's been really, really good. Season-low passing yards against UAB, where, again, he played 2 quarters and 1 drive of the 3rd quarter. 218 passing yards. He threw for 247 against Syracuse. He threw for 288 against ETSU, where he played just the first half. He threw for 335 against Mississippi State in overtime, and he threw for 371 yards in an overtime loss to Georgia. Joey Aguilar's thrown 3 touchdown passes against Syracuse, 4 touchdown passes against Georgia, 3 touchdown passes against UAB, and 1 touchdown pass against Mississippi State. Now, he also ran for a touchdown against Mississippi State and ran for a touchdown against Georgia. So he accounted for 5 total touchdowns against the Bulldogs, and he accounted for 2 touchdowns against Mississippi State. So he has accounted for multiple touchdowns in every game so far this season. It's been really, really impressive. Now, in terms of running the football, he is certainly no Taylen Green, right? This being Joey Aguilar. Still, they pick their spots with him, and when they get in the red zone, they dial it up. Again, he ran for a touchdown against Georgia. He ran for 21 yards total and a touchdown against Mississippi State. The touchdown against Georgia was the first touchdown of the game. The touchdown against Mississippi State tied the football game before the PAT at 34-all, right before the overtime period. So I thought that was obviously very, very noteworthy. You look at Taylen Green and what he's done so far this season. Passes down the field, Okay? Passes 20 yards or more down the field. He has completed 38% of such passes, 8 of 21, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. You look at Joey Aguilar, and you look at what he's done 20 yards or more down the field. He has completed 54.5% of the passes, 12 for 22, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. So clearly, the big play potential, the big play quarterback is sitting in orange and white. Joey Aguilar's deep balls down the field runs circles around what Taylen Green's done, at least on the stat sheet so far. Again, I'll read these one more time. Deep passes down the field, 20 yards or more. Joey Aguilar, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's completing 54% of his passes for 478 yards. Taylen Green, 295 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 8 of 21, completing 38% of his passes. Intermediate game. This is where Green really makes his money. 25 of 40, 62%, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks, 452 yards. Aguilar, meanwhile, 61%, 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, 21 to 34. That's all right. Short game. Again, both these guys are going to have a ton in the short game because, again, shorter passes are easier to complete. And then one other thing. Let's see here if I can find under pressure and all that. Passing pressure. Here we go. Aguilar, under pressure, is completing 46% of his passes on the year. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Taylen Green, under pressure this year, is completing 32% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for 138 yards. When blitzed, Taylen Green is completing passes at 60%, 598 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. So under pressure, Taylen Green is not very good. But when blitz and they pick it up, he's been pretty good. Let's see what Joey Aguilar's numbers are when blitz. When blitz, he's completing 57% of his passes for 708 yards, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Again, pretty much any stat you want to go down here and look at, it's pretty much been Joey Aguilar greater than Taylen Green. I think Taylen Green's a phenomenal player. I do. I think he's an issue on the ground. Tennessee's defense going to have to be ready for him, no doubt. I thought he'd be one of the better quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference coming into the year. But when you look at the nitty-gritty stats over Pro Football Focus, pressure snaps, when blitz, when not blitz, passes 20 yards down the field, significant difference, and it's Joey Aguilar. Both are good, but Joey Aguilar's have been, really, really great almost this year. So I thought that was interesting. Certainly wanted to bring it on the show when talking about, in my opinion, one of the best quarterback matchups in all college football this year. Joey Aguilar, Taylen Green, Tennessee, Arkansas this Saturday at Neyland Stadium. All right, when we come back, mailbag questions. Going to do my best to answer as many of those as I possibly can. That's coming up next right here on your Wednesday Locked On Vols. Mazda craft cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS top safety picks rewards than anyone else as of August of this year. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how they craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, where you can move and you can be moved. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth. That includes 401ks, properties, investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's a Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is just for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorizations of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I don't like spreadsheets. I'm sure you don't as well, unless you're a weirdo. Just kidding. A lot of great people, a lot of great accountants out there love spreadsheets. I'm not one of those. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with promo code LOCKEDONCollege. All right, guys, welcome back to your Wednesday morning Locked On Vols. Guys and gals, sending in your mailbag questions. And we do that every Tuesday, but because I have the crossover show, I went ahead and pushed the mailbag portion of the show to a Wednesday morning. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump down into it. We'll start with Volunteer at 77. Not saying or thinking he should or shouldn't, but does Joey have the option to return under the Pavia JUCO rule? You may have covered this in a video and I missed it. To my understanding, no. Now, what I know and what I think oftentimes becomes irrelevant because of courts, and it's just a weird time in college athletics. He played 2 years at JUCO. He played 2 years at App State. So he's currently playing under the Pavia ruling right now because he's never redshirted. So I would assume, and again, I've not heard anything differently. I think that this is it, right? That this is his final ride. Maybe that can change. We'll see. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is pretty much it. All right, let's get into some of the questions that I have bookmarked. Let's go to Jared here. Do you think Tennessee should have paid Jacoby Thomas and kept him? Letting a safety player like him go seems to be hurting us right now. I mean, I'm not going to act like I'm privy to the conversations on what was the asking price for him, and obviously Tennessee didn't meet it and he left. I'm not going to act like I know that price because I don't. But at the time last year, I mean, I don't blame Tennessee. You're not breaking the bank to keep him here. You're just not. He was not a critical need like a Mike Matthews or like a Boo Carter or like a Nico Iamaleava or, like somebody in that camp, if you will. He just wasn't. And I haven't looked at his stats. I mean, I've watched some Miami and I always see him around the football. And I mean, I hear he's having a really good year and that's awesome. But I mean, I don't blame Tennessee for not paying him last year. Hindsight's 2020, right? Would he have helped this year? Absolutely, he would have helped this year. But like, what was that asking price? I don't know. Obviously, Tennessee didn't meet whatever it was, and based off his play last year, there's nothing that really warranted that, in my opinion. Jared asked, would you start David Sanders drive number 1 against Arkansas, letting him take over that spot, or make him earn starting time as a rotational guy? If everybody's healthy up front, I'm going with the offensive line that they were going to start the season with before his injury, just because that's the best 5. That's David Sanders at right tackle, Jesse Perry at right guard, Sam Pendleton at center, Wendell Moy at left guard, and Lance Hurd at left tackle. That is what I would do. We will go to Tyler Jarnigan. Is there any 26 prospects left that we can add to get a top 5 class? To get a top 5 class, I don't think so. I do not think so. Will Tennessee add another prospect down the line? We'll see. Usually, history indicates that Tennessee adds a guy or two late. But, I mean, the class is almost full right now. Do I see this being a top 5 class? No, I do not. Why do rivals on 3, 247, etc. always drop 5 stars to 4 stars after committing to UT? Faison, Keys, GMAC, many more in the past. Because they hate Tennessee. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know, man. I mean, every fan base has this gripe. I understand there are examples that you pointed out right there. I don't have the answer to you. I know it happens elsewhere. There's also been times where Tennessee prospects have gotten a bump, right? Many people just don't realize it because you're not getting a bump up to a 5-star the majority of the time. Although I think Isaiah Campbell did last year. But you're getting a bump from a 3 to a 4-star or from a lowly ranked 4-star to a highly ranked 4-star. But I don't know, man. I know there are situations in other fan bases that they gripe about that as well. NBA Young Vol. Hi, Eric. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Why are you so devilishly handsome? I'll hang up and listen. I'm glad you think so. There's not many people out there. I'm surprised my wife still does. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's just stuck with me. I don't know. Appreciate you listening, man. Jake says, great show. I listen every day. Do you think we'll see Boo Carter getting any snaps on offense this year? He could be a weapon and another target for Joey. Jake, I appreciate you listening, man. Right now, no. I think there was a plan. We saw that plan in spring, but because of some off-the-field issues with Boo Carter in the summer, he's had to earn his way back on the team and then has to earn his way back onto the field playing defense. And right now, he's not even playing that many snaps defensively or as many as he should. And I'll also say on the flip side of this, you can never have too many targets. I'm not trying to act like, oh, you don't need him or whatever, but like there's not a great urgency for another target or playmaker on the offense side of the football right now, right? There's just not. I think it would be different if there was. But right now, I think that ship has sailed for sure. Randy, I believe Deshaun Bishop will soon emerge as a clear RB1. He runs with much lower center of gravity, is harder to tackle than Star Thomas, presses blocks well, has plenty of burst, and is trusted in pass pro. What say you? Yeah, again, I don't get caught up in the whole RB1, RB2. There's only been one clear-cut RB1 during the hype era, and that was last year with Dylan Sampson. Outside of that, it's been a rotation. I do think that Star Thomas and Deshaun Bishop are clearly the two top dogs here, and then Peyton Lewis, I'll be intrigued to see if he continues to get a series moving forward because his snaps have been diminished. But I do agree with you. I think in pass pro, much, much better. He does run with a low center of gravity. He's patient. He's slippery. I think Star Thomas is more physical, much more physical. I think they complement each other pretty well. I do, and I think they're both going to continue to get, splitting that work share. But nonetheless, I do think Bishop is your lead back for sure. Kurtz, coming out of the bye, do you expect another wide receiver to step up and or break out besides Brassel, Matthews, and Staley? As long as those three are healthy, it'll just be those three primarily, ? Yeah, as long as they're healthy, it's just going to be those three. And also, you have Travis Smith that's kind of the backup on the outside, where Darius Jackson is still out with the collarbone deal for the next little bit. He'll return, but he's been out a couple weeks. I think he's still got a couple weeks to go. No slot receivers emerged. They run 12 personnel if they need it. So as long as those guys are healthy, I think it's just going to be those three guys. A couple more here. Aaron wants to know, Aguilar was leading the conference in passing yards and touchdowns prior to the bye. If he were to regain the lead over Simpson, would that be enough to get him at least an invite to New York for the Heisman ceremony? What does he have to do to actually stand a shot at winning it? Go Vols. Team success. And I understand LSU a couple years ago was 9-3 and you had a Heisman winner right there. I get all that, but I think team success will help, especially with the stigma of this Josh Heupel offense, if you will. How it's viewed. I think that being successful, 10 wins, Joey Aguilar's stats will take care of itself in that regard. And it's certainly, if you're leading the conference by the end of the season and you won 10 games, then yeah, you should 1,000%, in my opinion, be in that conversation based on what are some of the other passing leaders in other conferences. So we'll see what happens, but I think the easiest path for that is to just keep winning, and I think that it will certainly take care of itself. 2022, Tennessee won a lot of games, and Hendon Hooker was in all those conversations. He should have been in New York prior to the injury for sure. Or he should have been in New York even after the injury. This is from Shamrock Titans with a big orange emoji and a power T with a, let's see here. I'm looking at his avatar right now. Okay, this is interesting. It's an orange background, power T, football helmet. You got a shade of orange, white, green for the Shamrock, and then you got the Titans logo in there. Interesting stuff, man. I never looked at your avatar. Maybe it's new. Maybe I'm just really bad at attention to detail. Shamrock Titans. One for the mailbag. I'm coming over from Ireland for my first Neyland experience versus Arkansas. Nice, man. A two-parter. What's the best thing to look out for on a tailgate, and will I be a changed man after the experience? Man, it's been a long time since I've tailgated because I've been covering, I've been doing this media thing since, full-time since 2017. Back when I used to go and tailgate and everything, I try to get there early and just hang out with my friends, watch other college football games, make sure you got some food, make sure you got some cold beer. When I was a kid, I'd love to get there for the Vol Walk. I thought that was so cool. I'd love to get there for the March of the Band, and they've changed that route a little bit this year. So DM me, and I'll try to find that route for you because I think you need to see the band march down. What are they called? The band march? Yeah, I think you need to see that. Be there for the Vol Walk for sure. That's really, really cool. But are there any breaking tables like Bill's Mafia? No, I don't think so. I just think it's a time to fellowship and hang out, and I would assume you're going to spend at least a week here. So there's a lot of things to do around Knoxville, but get here early. All right, so 4:15 kickoff, man. Get here early. Get here like 7 or 8 in the morning and take in the entire day because there's so much to do in terms of a game day experience that you might miss out, and you just want to have some fun. Go to the Vol Village. There'll be some VFLs on deck, I'm sure. See what all the Vol Village has to offer. There's going to be a lot of tents and stuff like that. There'll be photo ops. And if you come with the family, of course, the kids will have fun. So there's just a lot going on. But my advice to you would be get here early for sure. All right. That's going to do it for the Mailbag edition of the show. Appreciate you guys for sending those in each and every single week. We'll come back with Josh Ward for a little Ward Wednesday right here as we continue on. This is your Wednesday morning. Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. This episode is brought to you in part by our friends over at PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with PrizePicks, where it is good to be right. Playing PrizePicks is so much fun. It's a simple way to add more excitement to watching football. You can pick more or less on player projections, like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. Pick more than at least 2, no more than 6. It's as simple as this, more or less. They're going to give you a player stat projection. You're going to pick more or less. You can cross as well. You can take NFL players, college players, NBA players when basketball season starts, college basketball players, soccer, Premier League, all that and more. They got all different things out there. It's just a simple more or less. No more than 6, at least 2. Watch the winnings roll in. Download the PrizePick app today and use that promo code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code LOCKEDONCollege at $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. Josh Ward joining us here on Ward Wednesday, Locked On Vols. And Josh, it's been a little over a week now since Sam Pittman was officially fired. Bobby Petrino, of course, named the interim. He's made some staff changes. Now that the dust has kind of settled a little bit on all those initial changes, what do you make of this Arkansas team, knowing that Arkansas is coming inside to Neyland Stadium on Saturday as the Volunteers look to come off the bye, looking a whole lot better than it did this time last year?
Yeah, I think Tennessee has to be ready for an Arkansas offense that could create some challenges. Taylen Green is a talented quarterback who I thought played pretty well against Tennessee a year ago at times in that game before he went out with injury, and has continued to show his development as a player and a playmaker. And his head coach now is a guy that's been coaching him the last season and a half at this point. So Tennessee will have to be ready for the playmaking that they can find on offense. And I'm sure Arkansas will look at what Mississippi State was able to do and what Georgia was able to do in the middle of that game to find success on the ground. Defensively, I don't know what to make of the staff changes, except for I think they're going to probably try to simplify and look at what Arkansas did well last year against Tennessee. The difference is Tennessee at home with Joey Aguilar, I think, is going to present a much greater challenge for Arkansas's defense. So I think Tennessee is going to score a lot of points in this game, and Arkansas might score some points too. I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen at all, but I would be really surprised if Arkansas is able to score enough to keep up with Tennessee in Neyland Stadium.
I get so jacked up, ready to see Tennessee play. I just punched my microphone there. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what Arkansas looks like defensively. I mean, I know it's funny. You look at the SEC stats and you see Tennessee, Arkansas, like very similar team overall, very similar when you factor in offense, quarterback, and all that as well. But defensively, very similar, very comparable. They give up a lot of points, a lot of yards, all that and more. Where they're different is Tennessee's actually gone out and made some plays, forced turnovers, sacks, touchdowns, all that and more. Arkansas is not. But I'm very intrigued to see how much, if any, does that Arkansas defense change? Again, this is not an off season. This is 2 weeks. Okay, you're not going to come in here and install a brand new scheme. You're just not. Simple, keep the same verbiage, simplify things. I'm with you there. But also, I think they can afford to make some tweaks and to maybe change some strategies. Like, what are you going to run on third down, third and short? We really like this set of plays. Well, we're going to mix things up because obviously that's not working. You have nothing to lose defensively. But I'm super intrigued to see kind of what this defense looks like because, again, on one hand, it's been so bad. Sure, just throw the kitchen sink at somebody, which you should anyway. But on the other hand, you're not just going to change and overhaul everything. This is not an offseason. I don't care how many coaches you brought in. I think it's going back to what you said. Simplify things, keep the same verbiage, and kind of get after it if you're that Arkansas defense.
Yeah, I just look at it with Arkansas trying to make whatever changes it will on the defensive side. In this spot, it helps to have the bye week they had this past weekend, which Tennessee, of course, had too. But trying to make those changes and then go on the road to take on Tennessee's offense, which has the ability to hit big-time plays that were lacking last season down the field, I think it's a terrible time for Arkansas in trying to get things fixed on the defensive side. So Yeah, there's the you don't know exactly what you're going to get idea, the kitchen sink idea they're going to throw at Tennessee. But back to the offensive side, I don't know how much is really changing. Bobby Petrino's been running the offense for the last year and a half.
Why would you change a thing, Josh, right? Why?
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't think the prep for Tennessee's defense is changing really. They'll be challenged, don't get me wrong, but in terms of the preparation, I don't think that's really affected at all. And Tennessee's offense, I think, should be too good to worry about what Arkansas is going to try to do defensively coming off that disastrous performance against Notre Dame 2 weeks ago.
I agree with all that. Again, Bobby Petrino is the interim coach, and it's been asked a couple times this week on Mailbag podcast or Monday Night Chats or whatever. Like, what do you think they're going to change on offense? Nothing. Like, this is one of the better offenses in the SEC. I mean, this is one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. So, not going to change a thing. Defensively, again, I'll kind of wrap up this part of the conversation. I would start with what Arkansas did a season ago. You brought it up earlier. Odd fronts, for some reason, have always given Josh Heupel some issues dating back to his offensive coordinator days at Missouri. They've beaten odd fronts before, don't get me wrong. I mean, they ran all over an odd front Missouri 2021. But also there were some really weird personnel decisions in that game from Missouri on defense. But nonetheless, odd front means there's a fourth coming somewhere. You just don't know where it is. And they ran a 3-high safety look, and it really messed with Nico last year. I would start there if I'm Arkansas and then kind of build out from that. We'll see what happens. Taylen Green, man, one of the best athletes in the conference. Fourth in passing yards, second or third in passing touchdowns. He's second in yards gained on the ground rushing. Before you take away sacks, he's still like fourth overall. He's a really dynamic player. How do you defend that if you're Tim Banks in Tennessee's defense?
Yeah, Tennessee has to be set on the edge. I would be concerned if we're talking about what Arkansas can do offensively about third down defense and challenges that Tennessee's had and Taylen Green's ability to extend plays, pick up yards himself, but also if he can get out of there and find an open receiver down the field in the middle of the field and they hit a big play, maybe a catch and run, and they hit some big explosive plays that way. But Taylen Green, I have a ton of respect for him. I do think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. Thought he could be that going into this season. And I liked his potential to continue to get better last year. So ton of respect for him. And he will be a problem. That's why I'm not expecting Tennessee's defense to go shut down Arkansas's offense. If that happens, hey, that's great news for Tennessee and might be something to build on the following week with another tough test coming up and everything that follows after that. But I think third down defense and Taylen Green's ability to extend, make plays himself, that's probably the biggest concern, if you want to call it that, going in for Tennessee's defense.
Not midway to the season yet, but just approaching mid-season, right? Where are you at in terms of the college football playoff for Tennessee? I don't think there's one true big dog in the SEC this year. I think there's a lot of parity across college football, which makes it fun, right? A lot of people don't like it, name, image, and likeness. Well, NIL's made a lot of parity, and that's good for the sport and that's good for the playoff. Tennessee's certainly in that conversation. I mean, I think we know kind of the path that they need to take, but overall, would you see Tennessee compared to the rest of college football, compared to the rest of the SEC? Kind of what's your thoughts on the Vols in that conversation?
Yeah, Tennessee still has a really good chance. Tennessee is 4-1, like I thought it would be. Kind of an odd path to get to this point, meaning 2 overtime games and the 2 SEC games that they've played, but where a lot of people expected at this point. Now, at the beginning of the season, I did not have Tennessee in the playoff. I had Tennessee going 9-3. We'll see if I end up being right there or not. At the beginning of the season, when I had at one point I had to pick, okay, which 3 games do they lose? I said Georgia, I said Bama on the road, and I said Florida on the road, which was kind of cookie cutter. A lot of people had the same thought, and that could play out, might not. But Tennessee going to Florida, it's going to be a big test. Tennessee against Oklahoma, I think no matter who the quarterback is, I think Mateer's back by then, but no matter, that's going to be a tough game, and Vanderbilt's going to be a tough game. So they have to win games that they're absolutely supposed to. That's this week. That's Kentucky on the road. They're going to beat New Mexico State. And then what happens in those other games that could go one way or the other? Vanderbilt's probably tougher than I expected back in August, again, projecting forward. And then Florida's probably a game that I feel more confident in for Tennessee than I did a couple of months ago, just because despite the win against Texas, Florida still has its challenges. It's still going to be in Gainesville. So I don't really have any reason to change my preseason prediction, but I do feel better about Tennessee's playoff hope than I did back in the summer. Alabama's a winnable game. That's going to be a really tough game to win next week at night in Tuscaloosa, the way Alabama's playing right now.
Josh, where are you on Jamal McCoy? Josh Heupel really kind of threw some wet water on that thought earlier this week, and I've always been in the camp to where until he's actually going full go in practice, there's absolutely no reason for us to be kind of hyping this up. And I know a lot of people, and I know there's some reports out there, and really some conversation within the teammates and McCoy himself that Arkansas was kind of when he wanted to come back, or kind of when he was targeting to come back. That's not going to happen this week. Where are you on Jermon McCoy in terms of playing for Tennessee this year?
My thought is that we prepared the conversation as if Jermon McCoy's not going to play for Tennessee. And then if anything changes with his activity at practice and he's involved with teamwork, team periods, and that indicates he is getting closer to coming back and playing on Saturdays, then he enters the conversation of what he can do for Tennessee's defense. Nobody should have the expectation that he's coming back and being last year's Jermon McCoy, where he's playing all the snaps out there, because we had a question on Josh and Swin on Monday. Hey, could Ty Redmond move to safety when McCoy comes back? And that's not happening for several reasons. One, you wouldn't do that with Redmond, but also McCoy, if he comes back, he's not just back at 100% with his involvement. Again, he's not doing teamwork activity that we're aware of at this point. So approach it as if Jermon McCoy is not going to play, and if anything changes with his practice activity, change the conversation about his potential to help Tennessee this season.
When is Tony Vitello going to accept that job in San Francisco?
Well, probably not this offseason. I didn't think that it was an absolutely nothing story. I thought it was worth addressing, especially as we waited several days for Tony Vitello to address it. He called it a compliment, and I think it is absolutely that. It does change my thought long-term about, hey, is there the potential that at some point a major league team could come hire Tony Vitello or just a college baseball coach? I suppose so. Major League Baseball will probably have more franchises that are at least trying to think outside the box and go a different direction. It just takes one. Nothing ever happens until it happens. So, yeah, we haven't seen it before, but that doesn't mean we won't see it in the future. But I do think we'll see Tony Vitello coach Tennessee's baseball team during the 2026 season.
Yeah, I think multiple things can be true here. In the end, at least right now, do I think that he's going to take a managerial position? No, I do not. Is this an absolutely nothing burger where it's made up or just a name at the bottom of the list that means nothing? No, there's something here. There's a reason he's on that list. Tony Vitello's got relationships everywhere. His work speaks for itself. And I do think with where the college landscape is, you saw this a couple of years ago, all these football coaches wanting to go to the NFL, just so sick and tired. You still see it every offseason, so sick and tired of where college is right now. I think that that's a real thing that you got to be paying attention to, not necessarily, Tony Vitello specifically, but just the sport in terms of coaching and all that. So, do I think if there's something there? Absolutely. Do I think as of right now that Tony's going to be the manager of the Giants or anybody else for the 2026 season? No, not right now.
Yeah,
Josh,
Eric,
as always, man, thanks so much.
I got asked a bunch
on.
of times. Sorry to interrupt. I got asked a bunch of times, why would Tony Vitello consider going to the Giants?
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, my reaction was the opposite. Not as a knock on Tony, but really college baseball coaches. I was asking, why would the Giants go hire a head coach from college?
Yeah.
But if a franchise like the Giants, a franchise that has the goal of winning it all, that has won it all before and will probably win it all again, comes calling and offers the job, I would take it immediately. So that part I understood why Tony Vitello would be interested. And at some point, if a franchise like San Francisco offers him the job, prepare for Tony Vitello to go take a Major League Baseball managerial job. That's a big time offer. That franchise is probably going to have to know it has to offer a lot of money because Tony makes a ton of money. So I wouldn't go for $1 million and take a huge pay cut. But if the money's right, then I would for sure go to the major league level.
I got a chuckle, the last week or so of people saying, "Oh man, just quality of life awful." He ain't gonna think about that. There's no chance he does. Dude loves ball. What is the best job in your respective career field, right? Josh is, not on ESPN right now. Tony Vitello is not coaching Major League Baseball, but maybe one day he is. It was funny for me, reading some of the comments on social media and everything. It's why would he even entertain that? Why wouldn't he? That's the dream, right? So.
Yeah. So it would be, if you reversed it, it'd be crazy if a sitting major league manager left to go coach college unless there's a special circumstance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at some point, if a major league team offers Tony Vitello, at that point as a fan, you have to prepare for him to take that job.
Yep, and I'm following this like crazy. I haven't brought it up on the show much just because it's been developing day by day. I'm following this, and again, at this time right now, I would still be surprised if that were to happen, but I do think there's some interest there for sure. Josh, as always, man, thanks so much, and I know we ran over time. What do you got coming up on the show this week?
Yeah, getting ready for Arkansas, talking about the big picture stuff as well with Tennessee's football team and how Tennessee can keep improving and how they can use this bye week, David Sanders Jr. So there's a lot happening right now, 12 to 3, Monday through Friday. We talk about it on Josh and Swain.
He is Josh Ward. Catch him on Josh and Swain, just like you said, noon to 3 weekdays on the Sports Animal. Josh, thanks so much, man.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, that is Josh Ward. Ward Wednesday, right here on Locked On Vols, each and every single Wednesday. Ran a little overboard, so I'm going to say goodbye, but I appreciate you guys for being here. Same time, same place. We'll do it again tomorrow to get you set for Tennessee and Arkansas the rest of the week. This is Locked On Vols.